when I'm like around people. I'm like constantly thinking about how I'm looking from their point of view. It's so weird. Like I'm so hyper focused on my appearance.
OMG, y'all. The internet is losing its mind right now because Emma Chamberlain just dropped some major tea about her breakup with Ethan Dolan on a podcast. And let me tell you, it is wild. Like, if you remember, their whole relationship was on super secret lockdown, and now, years later, we finally get a crumb of what went down. Ethan's married now, but fans are still spiraling because this story has layers. And that's not all, y'all. We're also digging into the real truth behind the downfall of the Sister Squad. Yep, we're talking Emma, Ethan, Grayson, and James Charles. What really happened, the drama, the fallout, everything. Y'all, this story is messy, emotional, and full of moments you did not see coming. So grab your snacks, buckle up, and get ready to unpack this tea with me because there's a lot to get into. Let's dive right in.
He was her first love, so she thought that he was her soulmate, and she tried to get him back, and it was a very unhealthy situation.
In her podcast, Anything Goes by Emma Chamberlain, Emma starts by rewinding the clock back to when she was 17, reflecting on her very first relationship. According to her, it felt like a huge accomplishment just to be accepted by a guy, especially one she had a crush on for the longest time.
Eventually, he was like, you know what? I'm ready to be exclusive again. I was jumping for joy. Okay, jumping for joy. I was so excited.
Okay, to be fair, we have all been there. But here's where things get spicy. She mentions feeling super insecure, not just about the relationship, but about herself. She wasn't the stereotypical feminine type growing up, no curves, no confidence, just a goofy tomboy vibe that made her feel less than. But let's bring it back to Ethan Doyle for a sec, because people are saying the clues are just too strong to ignore. For starters, the timeline matches, and even though Ethan's married now, shout out to his wife, the idea that Emma's out here subtly reflecting on their time is giving us major nostalgia. Like, the internet practically grew up watching these two interact back in the day. Oh, that era, you guys. Ethan Doyle was literally the crush of every teen girl back in the day. Don't even act like you didn't have their merch or watch every single vlog on repeat. And Emma describing him as the boy she crushed on forever is relatable to many. But wait, there's more. Emma's honesty about feeling validated by this guy hits hard. She admits that being chosen by him made her feel like she finally had worth. That is such a teen thing, right? You're trying to figure out who you are, and then you throw a crush into the mix, and suddenly their attention feels like it's worth more than your self-esteem. It's tough to hear, but it's real. And upon looking back, she says it made her feel lucky to so much as have the attention of such a guy. Unbeknownst to Emma, this relationship was about to take everything from her, to the point that she would question her self-worth.
He fully had his fingers in between every single fold of my brain. Getting rid of him was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do.
So Emma gets into how the relationship low-key broke her down mentally and emotionally. Like the title of the podcast episode alone, How My First Boyfriend Broke Me Mentally and Emotionally, is all the drama we needed to be hooked. It's not just about who she was talking about, it's about how she let that relationship shape her sense of value. It's deep, y'all.
The psychological grasp that this man had on my brain should be studied in textbooks, because I've never felt that way about a guy again, and for the better.
This podcast episode was insane, y'all. Already racked up over 1 million views in just a few days, and that's how you know people are invested in this saga. First of all, let's talk about Emma's honesty here. Sis is not holding back from accidental hookups to breakdowns. Whew. Emma mentions how he didn't like her at first, but then he started to notice her. Honestly, what could be worse than putting someone on this pedestal, praying that they notice us, and when they finally do, it feels like you just found your purpose in life. She's describing this relationship as the impossible dream turned reality, only to later admit it was kind of a mess. Imagine Emma out here building a whole empire, making money moves, and yet doubting yourself? If Dylan couldn't see your worth, it should have been his problem, period. But being young, she didn't know any better. And that part where she's like, I thought I was gonna die after the breakup. Like, ooh. After broken trust, feared heartbreak, curled up in bed, eating ice cream, and staring at our phones hoping for a hey text, it's not just a heartbreak, it's a whole personality shift. She thought her life was over. But then she hits us with the whole trying to get him back arc. Girl, Stop. Emma was lurking on his socials, plotting the casual text to slide back in, and when she started hanging out with him as friends, they ended up in a situationship, and y'all can already guess how that went. To say the least, it was toxic. Emma acknowledged that this was the one ex she couldn't quit on, even when it was clear as day they were not supposed to be together. She called it an accidental hookup, but after the second or third time, she had to have a pep talk with herself, like, girl, this is not an accident anymore, it's a lifestyle choice. I do love how she reflects on all of this with such clarity though. Like, it's giving growth era. The fact that she can look back and say, yeah, that wasn't healthy, but I learned from it is a flex. Not everyone can own their messy past like that. But can we talk about how much emotional labor she put into this situationship? Like, Emma was doing all this mental gymnastics for someone who wasn't even giving her exclusivity. Just bare minimum vibes and more tears, because every single time after they hooked up, she'd be on her bed, literally rolling around in agony, crying like the world is ending. Heartbreak makes you do the absolute most, and Emma was no exception. But do you know what's worse? Sticking around and hoping someone will take you back when they are only there for a good time, not a long time. She talks about one moment where Ethan seemed to have gotten it together and asked that they be exclusive again, and she agreed, only for Ethan to ghost her literally the very next day. No calls, no text, radio silence. And there was Emma again, drenching in tears for weeks before this guy hit her with, hi.
He said it one night, like casually, randomly to me. And I was like, oh my God, I'm back. He was like, I don't want to date, but I want to be exclusive. I was like, okay, whatever that means. And then he kind of stopped talking to me. Like literally the next day, he just kind of stopped talking to me. I was like, what? We're exclusive. What? We're exclusive again, I thought. What's happening? He's like not responding to my text. He like doesn't want to hang out. I'm like, this is so odd. Like, what's happening? And I was like, it's fine. So I like let it go for a few days. But then I was like, this is weird. Like, what is going on? Something's off. Finally got him on the phone and I was like, what's going on? And he's like, I don't want to be exclusive. I was heartbroken. I was like, why did you say that? You're throwing my emotions around. We go back and forth. I rip him a new one and I hang up on him.
It took so much from her to reply to that text because from the way she describes it, the devil was on her shoulder. I mean, by now, Emma had known better because this roller coaster was harming her mental health and sense of self-worth. Plus, her guardian angel kept screaming, do not do it. And so she didn't.
He texts me, hey, and I'm faced with a very, very challenging decision. Am I going to respond to him and reopen this wound that was finally healing? Or am I going to ignore it and move on from him?
Her dad, big shout out to him, came through with the wisdom. Because it got so bad, Emma had to call her loved ones for advice, and her dad straight up told her, Emma, you already know what's up. Do not fall for it again. And he was so right. This dude said he wanted to be exclusive and then ghosted the very next day? Like, huh? Exclusive with who? Casper the Friendly Ghost? Because it sure ain't her. Also, can we talk about the fact that Emma could call her father over this? That's amazing father-daughter relationship. Definitely saved the day.
And so I battled this for a little bit on my own, and then I started calling my loved ones, specifically my dad. And my dad was just like, Emma, you know what to do. You know you don't want to start this all over again. Every time you open this wound up again, you're going to get into a weaker place and it's going to be even harder to get out. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. And I was like, Emma, like, you know what the answer is.
Another thing, the emotional hold that this man had on her was some next level stuff. It wasn't just her heart, it was her ego, her pride, her entire being. If it took her all this just to not respond to that message, just 3 little letters, and it still hit her like a wrecking ball. So she really fought to save herself. Interestingly, this final text was also her wake-up call because even her dad's advice didn't put her soul to rest. When you're in this deep, even the best advice can feel like background noise. She says she was pacing and spiraling in her room with her phone in her hand, and in a split second, literally threw her phone at the wall, shattered it completely. But the shattered phone was symbolic. It was like the final straw. The universe stepping in to say, enough is enough, and honestly, good for her. That is growth and self-respect.
It was so excruciating that I threw my phone at the wall and I shattered it. When I walked over to my phone and flipped it over and saw that it was shattered, it was a wake-up call. I was like, all right, this has to end. This whole situation, me throwing the phone at the wall, this is very out of character.
I don't know what could be worse than being stuck in this toxic back and forth where every little breadcrumb feels like a whole meal? She was out here losing her mind while this dude was probably chilling with his next catch, not even thinking about the chaos he caused. And the audacity of him to say, I want to be exclusive, but I don't want to date? Sir, what does that even mean? That's like saying, I want to eat the cake, but I don't want the calories. Boy, bye. Emma most definitely learned her lesson, so hopefully the next time some smooth-talking, good-looking dude tries to pull the exclusive but not really card, she'll see the red flags waving and swerve. And guys, this could happen to anyone, so take notes. You are not a convenience. You are the main event, period. Not to mention, people are really vibing with this version of Emma Chamberlain, saying that they'd love to see more of this side of her. For the longest time, fans have felt like Emma has become super unrelatable. Even a simple wardrobe declutter like her latest YouTube video had people in the comments calling her out for being out of touch. But this podcast episode might just be Emma's saving grace. She's getting tons of applause for opening up and sharing something so many people can actually relate to.
It was expertly crafted to skate that fine line that she always does between relatable and mega rich millionaire 21-year-old.
Moreover, Emma revealing that all of this went down back when she was 17 in 2018 had fans digging through old videos and a new discovery was made. If you guys can remember, back in 2018, the Dolan twins released a music video on their channel, and guess who was in it? Christina, Ethan's now wife. Fans are spiraling, claiming Christina might have been the other woman. Ethan entertained while stringing Emma along. The wildest part is that Ethan and Christina later danced to this very song at their wedding. The layers of messiness are sending people into orbit. What's even more shocking is how Christina's look in the video is literally Emma's style. And the fact that the twins directed it, this is beyond insane. Online reactions have been ruthless, literally wondering how Emma even recovered from this, knowing Ethan married the girl that he kissed in that Hawaiian party music video. Moving on to even more disturbing discoveries that came to light after this episode. This podcast episode turned out to be kind of an expose because for the longest time, we've all been wondering what really caused the sudden downfall of the Sister Squad and why did everyone unfollow James Charles? Emma Chamberlain waited years to spill, and now we finally know. Y'all remember the Sister Squad, right? Back in 2018, they were everything. Emma Chamberlain, the Dolan twins, Ethan and Grayson, and James Charles had us all hooked with their chaotic energy, hilarious collabs, and genuine chemistry. But by 2019, the iconic crew vanished, leaving fans everywhere wondering what happened to the Sister Squad. Well, buckle up, because we finally got some answers. At first, it seemed like the group just fizzled out. No big fight, no dramatic announcements, but over time, the squad members started dropping hints about what went down. In a career ranking video, James Charles said filming with his best friends in the entire world was a highlight of his career, but admitted they were all in very, very different parts of their lives and needed to move on. A breakup by growth, maybe? Then the Dolan twins gave their take too, clearing up wild fan theories in a 2020 video. Meanwhile, Emma admitted she'd reconnected with James, but wasn't sure about getting back on the same page with the Dolans. Sometimes friendships just fade when life takes you in different directions. But then again, it looks like Emma wanted nothing to do with the Dolans because she needed to stay as far away from Ethan as possible. Now, y'all know the internet loves a good scandal, and people did not believe the breakup was drama-free. Fans speculated that James Charles's feud with Tati Westbrook might have been the final nail in the coffin. Remember when Jeffree Star accused James of harassing Grayson? That shook the internet. But James wasn't about to let rumors slide. He clapped back in a tell-all video, shutting down all the claims with receipts. Apparently, the Dolans unfollowed him during the drama to avoid getting caught up in the mess, but James spilled that they were actually among the first to check on him privately. Plus, fans couldn't help but notice that everyone in the squad eventually unfollowed James on social media, and that was the first hint of beef between them. But still never explained where Emma Chamberlain stood in all of these. The real plot twist was about the long-standing rumor that Emma Chamberlain and Ethan Dolan were more than friends. Fans shipped them hard, but neither of them ever confirmed it. Now, thanks to Emma's podcast, we're pretty sure the rumors were true. And now, years later, Emma describes that relationship as intense, life-changing, and short-lived. The breakup was brutal. Emma said she cried for 2 weeks straight and felt like her world was ending. Between the James drama, Emma and Ethan's heartbreak, and everyone's skyrocketing careers, it's no wonder the Sister Squad couldn't keep it together. The vibe that made them so fun to watch, that raw, unfiltered friendship, just wasn't the same anymore. But hey, maybe that's the beauty of it. The Sister Squad gave us unforgettable moments, iconic videos, and an example of how even the closest friendships can evolve. Of course, we're never getting a reunion, but what a time, guys. What a time. So what do y'all think? Is Emma really spilling about Ethan, or are we all just connecting dots that aren't even there? Let me know what y'all think down below.